Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ada, and here I talk about my knitting and some thoughts on other knitting stuff that happens around in the world. Today I'm joined by my daughter, who's gonna be doing some soundtrack for me, and I intended to do a knitting chat, possibly a knitting podcast, sharing what I've done recently, but it's just been too long since the last podcast to have a... What did you find? Okay. It's been too long to provide you right now with a quick update, so maybe that will be another video, because I just don't have the overview of everything I've done since then. I've been very busy, but also mainly very busy with work and life. So a few updates. The willow herb sweater pattern is actually now in testing, and I'll be releasing this as soon as that is finalized. And I've been really excited and happy to see people wanting to knit that sweater. And yeah, I'll probably post something more on it when the pattern really comes out, but stay tuned for that. And yeah, other than that, I have finished Linnea Cardi, and that I'm gonna talk about right now and show you what it looks like. So the Linnea Cardi is finished, and I have some thoughts. First of all, the hem or the length is quite nice. It comes down to where I wanted it to be worn with this kind of high-waisted skirts. And I'm not busting out of my buttons, which is lovely because that's what I was afraid of. It has bust shaping, so that helps that a little bit. However, it also had that shaping in the back. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I think it kind of adds a little bit too much bulk in the back, but I just kind of went with it. If I was to do it again, I don't think I would have added that. Yes, and I think that is where we're reaching a problem for this cardigan, which is it really well, you can see the problem. Okay, so this is a result of a lot of stretching by this point in blocking. I'm quite happy with the size here, you know, up to the V. However, the shoulder and the back, I don't know, it's just not shaped very well. Okay, so I followed the Linnea Cardi pattern, and I thought I followed it to the T. And yeah, I don't know, I think the shaping is a bit off. Not really happy with what's happening in the back. So if I stand up straight, it kind of warps out like that. And yeah, I thought I would be getting a cardigan that can be worn very universally, and what I have is just a very specifically worn piece. So for example, I think if you wear it just as a shirt, kind of as a blouse, and maybe hide the straps from your bra if you're wearing one, which I would recommend if you're wearing a wool piece, just for the sake of sensitivity. But then it can kind of work as a kind of cute top, kind of off the shoulder. It does then get a weird bulk here, but I think I could live with that. But long term, I'm not particularly satisfied because it is, yeah, I cannot wear anything under it, which is kind of fine. Well, I guess I can wear a tank top. It's fine. It was kind of meant to be really fitting here, which it is, but I really did think it would go over my shoulder. So I have a couple options. One is to kind of scrape that completely, which I don't want to do. Second is to leave it as is, which is probably what I'm very likely to do, at least for a while, because I'm a little bit lazy and I'm fed up with it. And the last option is to take down the button band, which it's not double knitted, it's just ribbing until here, somewhere until here, I think. And either do short rows to extend that back and shoulder, or to at least change the way it's knit. Okay, so up until I think at the end of that cable, you decrease stitches as you go, as you knit them, but from here you don't, and I think that's also where extra bulk comes from, that it's not, the button band is not pinching it in. So I could try that. That should not take too long. Famous last words. And it could either pinch it in and be kind of tightened enough that I'll be satisfied, or I would do short rows and then finish the button band. Not sure. I think for now I'm just gonna leave it as is because I'm kind of fed up with it. But I think if I was to go back, I think I would take it down and then do the German short rows. And that brings me to the biggest point here, which is I have officially found the most difficult or inconvenient way to knit a sweater. Okay, there's always conversations regarding top down, bottom up, whatever. And I think regarding those, there's no right answers. I think whatever fits you as you knit, you're kind of, so yeah, the button band you add afterwards, right? But then as you knit, you're knitting in the round until this point. Okay. Yeah, so basically you cannot try it on as you go because of the V-neck, and you just have to kind of trust the process. Of course, what I could have done is once I've cut it, I could have continued and maybe done short rows or something immediately to mitigate this. But honestly, I thought maybe if I follow the pattern for the button band, that will maybe bring this in. I just kind of did not feel like reverse engineering it at that point. But of course, it did not help, and I am not satisfied. And as you can see how it's like it's not what a button band should look like. Maybe it's just the button band that's the issue. I don't know. I kind of hope so, but I don't know. Like I said, I think I will take it down, maybe do some short rows to fill out the shoulders and the back a little. I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it being a bit open. Of course, that's not what the picture on the pattern shows, and of course, it's like I understand that it's made for different, like it's just has several sizes. It's not meant for every body type, but it can't, like, that can't be size M in the width. I mean, like, that can't be the width. Hello. The reason why I've been inspired to talk to you today is because I've seen the first episode of Game of Wool, and some of the thoughts that first contestant that went out has posted online, and I have some thoughts as well. I don't think they're particularly hot takes. I was really excited that there is a knitting show. I never thought it would happen, just because of the timing constraints. With that being said, kind of same thing happens on the sewing shows and whatever. Like, things can also take forever, but if you put time pressure on people, they will do stuff, right? So on one hand, I was really happy to see it, but also, again, this is just the first episode, right? Let's see what happens in the next ones. But I don't know, having people do a chunky yarn tank tops in Fair Isle, I understand the idea is to show off your work in color, etc. But also, this kind of chunky yarn, It's killer. It's killer for your hands. Like I've done this chunky yarn blanket, cardigan, like a blanket throw, whatever, to have in my office. Like it's completely unusable because it's so chunky, in the sense of you cannot really like wear it about. Like it's mainly for like keeping you warm when you sit. And I thought like, oh well, it'd be size 16 needles. Like, oh no, 16 maybe, was it 12 millimeter needles? Whatever, like really chunky needles. Maybe it even should have been chunkier, to be fair, but those were the biggest ones I've had. And then they had to be 12 millimeter needles, I guess. And I hated it. I hated it. Like it did not take, that long as it would have taken something else to make in that size, but it still took long and it still was uncomfortable for my hands. So I cannot imagine 12 hours of knitting of that kind of chunky yarn. I'm assuming they've done it over 2 days, right? Because like it's like they could not be pulling 12-hour workday. Like Fair Isle mainly consists of these relatively easy repeats with no long floats. Okay, not easy repeats, but you know what I mean. Like it consists of all these motifs that do not generate any long floats. So to kind of have that and just have stranded color work that does require floats. This is not something I have a problem with regarding knitting, to have long floats. If you're gonna do a Fair Isle challenge, I think the challenge should be no long floats. You know what I mean? This is just my my thought and my idea. And when I've designed, for example, willow hair sweater, I really aimed to have as little long floats as possible, because I feel like that's the challenge in designing a really well designed sweater, is not to have long floats. But again, kind of there's a difference between process knitting and final piece knitting. Like it depends what you want, and it depends how you want your knitting to go. So for all of that, I really appreciated the extra thoughts that Gordon had, and he posted on YouTube, and I'm assuming we're gonna get some more regular channel from him. I would really love that. So I really appreciated his explanations. I have done steeking before, mainly for making cardigans, and I think I would be interested in trying it for armholes as well. I think that could be really cool. But that has really showed me how much we don't know about competitions like this, like the whatever Top Chef and some other sewing ones. I don't know everything else. There's so many shows like in this kind of concept. How much did they have briefs in advance? That would be interesting to know. Like I don't know. I kind of expected them to, have half an hour to maybe make a pattern. I don't know. I would not expect people to make a pattern in half an hour. Maybe like to get like a ready pattern for Tom Daly's size, right? Like, you need this amount of stitches in the round or whatever. Hello, more or less. Like maybe you need this amount of stitches more or less, and make up a pattern. But I guess it makes sense if it has to fit him. That I guess it makes sense to have a practice round. I don't know. I wonder how the rest of the shows work. So I have no idea. I don't know that much about broadcast TV to really understand the intricacies of this. However, I recently watched The Wizards of Baking. Season 2 has just started, and there it is pretty clear that they get the briefs in advance, because they make these chocolate things out of from silicone molds that they could not possibly have done on the spot. This is not something that you go into your pantry and then you just make that, right? You have to have these very specific things ready. So I guess that's that means that they have these in advance, right? Like I think in these kind of other cooking shows, it could be that they don't really know, but again, there's so many shows and so many things that it's hard to compare. But I'll keep watching this, like even though I have comments, it's still amazing to see this represented. I really love that peacock sweater. Absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. So maybe it's just a sign for me to do a little bit more in color and step away from my palette. But what this really made me appreciate is the knitting community, in the sense that after this show, so many people were, commenting on Gordon's videos. So many people have made videos of their own, like me commenting here, and people have thoughts for and against. I haven't seen any of the opinion videos because I didn't want to tint like what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna go watch those now. But the fact that the knitting community is so first of all, interested in expanding what they know, for example, about Fair Isle, but also that just in general we have such appreciation for the craft that, we're not fully satisfied with what this show is showing us. With what this show is showing us, with what this show has provided us to see. Also in the light of the recent video from the SciShow, like I did not make a video about that, plenty people did, and we basically, as a community, we bullied the SciShow into taking that video down, and I think that's quite a feat. We stand together as a community and want to represent our community in the best way possible. In the sense, not best way, but most faithful way possible, which has not been done as much as I guess we would like that to. And of course, I'm not aware of this because I am not into cooking at the same level as I am into knitting. So I have no idea how the cooking community is out online. And I don't know if they do reaction videos to new cooking shows and stuff. But again, it's probably because there's like a million cooking shows and there's only the one knitting show. But, I don't know if they are dissecting these shows as much as we are dissecting this one, and I guess it's just different because you could expect someone to cook a meal in a couple hours, but you can't really expect someone to make a sweater in a short amount of time. So I guess that's the big difference here. And with that in mind as well, is it such a big deal to give them a couple more days and maybe a slightly finer gauge? Like, is that really a difficult? I don't know. Like, to make a sweater in 12 hours or in 24 hours, like that's equally, difficult depending on the gauge, I would say. But that's just my thought. Again, I have no idea how much it costs to have crew filming or whatever. I have no idea. Okay, so this is just a thought. But back to the community, like again, I really appreciate the fact that people just want to make sure that others learn about our craft in the best way possible, and that the nuances and the cultural nuances that kind of follow that, I think, especially, for example, regarding the Fair Isle knitting. Again, Gordon, I really appreciate your videos because absolutely informative. So I've been talking for a while. I don't know how much will be usable because of the soundtrack here, but I'll try to patch it up together so that it's a somewhat cohesive video. So just a reminder, Willow Herb Sweater is in testing right now, and maybe I can make a video when it comes out to show you exactly how it looks and what it is. It will be available in English, Norwegian, and German. Thanks to one of my lovely test knitters. So thanks so much for watching. Maybe soon I can do a little podcast and show you other things I've done. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. Hopefully next time I can see you in a podcast video to show you what I've been up to. Bye.